Unexpectedly, even the Dark Four Knights, who have been steeped in countless slaughters, would be confronted and challenged. When the eerie laughter echoed throughout the forest, the Black Knight, being the leader, immediately gave the order, "Old Third." As soon as his words fell, the sharpshooter, Old Third, released the arrow in his hand. The arrow tore through the air like lightning. Under the envelopment of the robust muster energy, it destroyed one tree after another like a bamboo. In the blink of an eye, it destroyed one tree after another. Old Four asked in confusion, "Did you get him?" Old Third shook his head and replied, "No, this person must be a nascent divinity tribulation realm expert." At this moment, a playful voice sounded, "Not bad marksmanship." Hearing these words, the boss spoke with an uncertain expression. "Who goes there?" The corner of Ming Xiuwen's mouth revealed a curve. "I'm the disciple of Jinting Mountain's evil sky pavilion." "Where's Fan Xiuwen, leader of the Black Knights?" Upon hearing the words Jinting Mountain, the four of them immediately became alert. "So, it's a friend from the evil sky pavilion." "Friend? Ha ha, where is Fan Xiuwen?" Ming Xiuwen's arrogant laughter continued to echo around, and the trees in the forest began to grow strangely and wildly. This is a jungle area, where the Bluewood Heart technique can be fully utilized. Even a cultivator at the nascent divinity tribulation realm with a 6-leaf avatar might not be able to capture him. In this place, he is the king. The leader attempted to determine the location of the other party, but he came up empty-handed. The voice was elusive, floating from left to right. He then responded politely, "The leader is in the divine capital. What business do you have with him?" The tone of Ming Xiuwen was filled with displeasure. "Listen up, I'll give you 3 days. The evil sky pavilion wants to meet Fan Xiuwen. If he doesn't, you will end up like this tree." With his words, a towering tree suddenly twisted and deformed, and hurled towards the group of the Black Knight. Seeing this, Old Four leaped up, the muster energy gathered in his fist, and in an instant, he shattered the massive tree into several sections. "Your message, I shall convey it to my leader. Farewell." Having said this, the leader quickly led the Black Knight troops away from here. Ming Xiuwen watched them with interest. Since 4 of them are so strong, it's impossible for Fan Xiuwen to be weak, right? "Oh, Master, who are you trying to provoke this time?" The 4 Dark Knights cultivation bases were almost at the nascent divinity tribulation realm, while the remaining Black Knights cultivation base was at the divine court realm, leaving eldest and second brother of evil sky pavilion. These Black Knights could fight on par with the evil sky pavilion. There's no way that a person who commanded these people would be a nobody in the cultivation world. "Fan Xiuwen, just who on earth are you?" After expressing his surprise, Ming Xiuwen delved into the forest. His figure disappeared here in a flash. Like lightning, the Imperial Guards guarded the capital. The Black Knights were a covert group and only operated in the shadows. Their existence was not publicly acknowledged. Their base is not located in the capital. Only a handful of people from the palace knew the location of their base. They went around the capital and continued to the north. Not long after, they returned to the Black Knights' headquarters in a certain mountain range. Upon arriving at the Grand Hall, the several individuals knelt on one knee. "My lord, we've completed our mission. The Upper Prime City's traitor has been eliminated by the Black Knights." Directly in front, a towering figure in black armor had his back turned to the 4. "Excellent. I also have another thing to report. We encountered a villain from the Evil Sky Pavilion on our way back. The Evil Sky Pavilion has a message for you. The Evil Sky Pavilion requests an audience with you. They have set a deadline of 3 days. After hearing this, Fan Xiuwen chuckled helplessly. "This is a tribulation that I must face. My lord, the Evil Sky Pavilion is notorious in the cultivation world. It has produced 9 great villains over the centuries, whose names shocked the lands. The founder of the unorthodox Dao, Ji Tian Dao, possesses an unfathomable cultivation base. My lord, I suggest that we avoid the Evil Sky Pavilion." Before he could finish his sentence, Fan Xiuwen raised his hand to interrupt him. "I've received an order from the palace. The Evil Sky Pavilion has meddled in the palace's plans. My lord, are we making an enemy out of the Evil Sky Pavilion?" Fan Xiuwen shook his head and slowly began to speak. "The Evil Sky Pavilion is indeed terrifying. We have no idea about the cultivation bases of its 9 disciples. Rumor has it that Ji Tiandao possesses an 8-leaf golden lotus avatar. It's not surprising for him to be able to repel the 10 great experts. I have no intention of making the Evil Sky Pavilion my enemy. It's only natural that we should avoid making an enemy out of such powerful people." The Black Knights finally breathed a sigh of relief after hearing these words. "I'm afraid that the leader will be conceited for a while. Although the overall strength of the Black Knights is strong, if we were to confront Ji Tiandao directly, both sides would surely sustain great losses. Moreover, there is no need to rush. Once Ji Tiandao reaches his limit, we will easily destroy the Evil Sky Pavilion." However, at this point, Fan Xiuwen suddenly changed his tone. "However, since the palace has issued an order, we must obey. Since the Evil Sky Pavilion wishes to see me, I'll go see them. When they learned that Fan Xiuwen was going to the Evil Sky Pavilion, the four were somewhat shocked. Ji Tiandao's age, he will die in 10 years at most. Why do we have to rush there now? We're Fan Xiuwen's most trusted subordinates. Naturally, we knew about Fan Xiuwen's identity as well. Fan Xiuwen is younger than Ji Tiandao, but he was a prodigy in the cultivation world. When he was at the top of the blacklist, the Evil Sky Pavilion had yet to exist. The two had fought to a draw. However, Ji Tiandao experienced a huge leap in his cultivation base and sat steadily in the Evil Sky Pavilion. Although we don't know how profound our Lord's cultivation base was, but we're certain that it was not higher than an 8-leaf. Fan Xiuwen calmly looked at the four, paused for a moment, then spoke in a cold voice. I can wait, the Black Knights can wait, even the Emperor can wait. However, Great Yan cannot wait. In 3 days' time, you will accompany me to the Evil Sky Pavilion. There's no need to discuss this matter any further. Zhou understood. Apart from the rascals who left the Evil Sky Pavilion, those who remained were quite smart. Their only shortcoming was that it was difficult for them to improve their cultivation bases after being suppressed by Ji Tiandao for so long. However, this situation has to change as soon as possible. The world didn't dare to act against the Evil Sky Pavilion due to Ji Tiandao's cultivation base. However, as time passed, probing attacks such as the one before would only increase frequently. The limit of one's life has always been regarded as the truth in this cultivation realm. Just as he was pondering, Xiuwen's voice suddenly reached his ears. Master, I've waited the entire day, but fourth senior brother still hasn't written back. Do you think he received my letter? Zhou shook his head, indicating it was fine. It's fine. Ming Shiyin had completed his mission. As long as he didn't cause trouble elsewhere and returned safely, there would not be a problem. Xiuwen seemed worried. Master, is senior brother dead? I've asked that idiot about this. He said the leader of the Black Knights, Fan Xiuwen, is very dangerous. Nobody knows his real identity. Upon hearing this, Zhou asked in confusion. Idiot? Xiuwen replied. Pan Zhong, he said that fourth senior brother will die, so I scolded him with a few words. How many words did you scold him with? I just lightly scratched him. Upon hearing this, Zhou was somewhat speechless. He casually tapped her on the head. You're becoming more unruly. This habit of randomly hitting people, when will you change it? Just at this moment, there came a deafening blast from the back mountain. Zhou couldn't help but frown. Jingting Mountain has a barrier for protection. Who is causing trouble? In the midst of his doubts, he saw Pan Zhong rush over, who was also excitedly shouting. Third Mister has had a breakthrough. Zhou stared blankly at him. You are? Greetings, Pavilion Master. I'm Pan Zhong. I fell on my own. Upon hearing this news, Xiuwen was also overjoyed. That's great, Zhou chided in a low voice. You're the most carefree one here. Shouldn't you work hard to catch up to your senior brother? Zhou was quite satisfied with his disciple, Duanmu. Duanmu was not as calculative as Ming Shiyin, even though he was opinionated. Ever since the Siege of the 10 Great Experts, Duanmu's loyalty remained stable and unwavering. Compared to rascals like Ming Shiyin and Zhou, I prefer Duanmu more. If Duanmu and Ming Shiyin were in the same realm, Duanmu could easily win in a fight against Ming Shiyin. However, Ming Shiyin had benefited from the battle on Jingting Mountain previously. Ming Shiyin had a breakthrough in his Bluewood Heart technique. Although Duanmu's progress was slower, it was no surprise that he had a breakthrough in his realm. However, there's no need to worry about little Yuan's cultivation. She is the latest to start, but her cultivation level has improved the fastest. Even Zhou Jifeng, the eldest disciple of the Heavenly Sword sect, is not as good as her. Duanmu came over to Zhou in high spirits. I had a stroke of luck and managed to break through to the nascent divinity tribulation realm, and successfully formed the 100 Tribulation Insight Avatar. Zhou nodded approvingly. It's good that you had a breakthrough. The path of cultivation is long, so remember not to be too proud or impatient, and work harder. Upon hearing this, Duanmu bowed respectfully. Thank you for your teachings, Master, I'll remember them. His loyalty had gone up by 1%. It's obvious that the higher the percentage is, the harder it is to increase loyalty. At this point, Zhou suddenly thought of the Overlord Spear. Overlord Spear. It seemed like the spear's designated owner was Duanmu. After all, Duanmu cultivated the Divine One technique that included swordsmanship and spearmanship. Duanmu's character was frank and fierce, which made the Overlord Spear more suitable for him than a sword. The spear and sword were made two different weapons, but they would lead to the same result. If Duanmu's cultivation can be greatly improved, it would be beneficial for me as well. Thinking of this, he left a word and rose to return to the Evil Sky Pavilion. Wait here, I'll be back soon. He went back to the secret chamber of the Evil Sky Pavilion, took out the Overlord Spear, then hurried back to his previous position. Seeing Master returning with a weapon in an imposing manner, Duanmu was a bit confused. Zhou hadn't yet reached his destination when he threw the Overlord's spear in his hand over. Thinking that Master was about to punish him, Duanmu immediately became flustered. Master, I dare not, The next second, the Overlord's spear turned its head upward and steadily landed in his hands. Ding! The Overlord's spear has successfully gained an owner. Activated grade, Heaven grade. Reward, 1,000 merit points. Zhou gave him a meaningful glance. I'm giving the Overlord's spear to you, use it well, and don't let me down. The moment he received the Overlord's spear, he was overjoyed, and quickly gave a respectful bow. Thank you, Master, for giving me this weapon. Zhou nodded indifferently. It seems that the grades of the weapons will only reach their potential when they are given to a suitable owner. If it were casually given to someone else who was not suited to it, it would not be able to unleash its full potential. He was also able to break the cold iron chains. Also, this reward is nice. I still don't know how many weapons remained after Ji Tiandao's death. After all, there are a lot of disciples. They should be given grace equally. At this time, Xiuwen came up enviously. Master, I want one too. Your cultivation base is still low, so you shouldn't be messing around. Duanmu toyed with it for a while, seeming to be quite fond of it. He then turned his gaze to Fan Xiuwen and Zhou Jifeng. Both of you spar with me. I will wait for you behind the mountain. Master, I'm going to train with my weapon. I'll take my leave. Upon hearing this, Zhou waved his hand. Go ahead. Just as the three of them left, a messenger bird quickly flew in. Xiuwen immediately went up and grabbed it. Master, it's a letter from 4th senior brother. I'll read it for you. Master, I've conveyed your message to the Black Knights. They'll be arriving at the Evil Sky Pavilion in a few days' time. I'll keep an eye on them along the way. After reading it, Xiuwen seemed a bit surprised. Fan Xiuwen is really bold. To think he easily agreed to come here. Master, don't show him any mercy. Kill him with a single slap. Zhou stroked his beard, somewhat speechless. If I kill him, who's going to unravel the truth behind the destruction of Fish Dragon Village? Fan Xiuwen, also known as Lung Luo, has always been cunning and values his life very much. He is similar to Jian Aijian in this regard. However, Jian Aijian has a lively character, but Fan Xiuwen is a man filled with schemes. There's no way that such a person would be easily provoked to come to the Evil Sky Pavilion, right? Fan Xiuwen should have heard the news of me defeating the 10 great experts. Since he's unafraid, I wonder where his confidence comes from. Zhou, although puzzled, didn't think too much on it. He then turned his head to ask, how's Yi Tianxin been doing these few days? Xiuwen answered, apart from her frighteningly pale skin, she's doing fine. Upon hearing this, Zhou nodded and left the place. Once he returned to the secret chamber of the Evil Sky Pavilion, he opened the system interface. The screen displayed a total of 1,310 merit points remaining. I have lost interest in reversal cards. The current situation is undoubtedly more suitable for me to cultivate. This means the only option is to select the lucky draw. As he pondered this, a system notification suddenly sounded in his ears. Ding! Your disciple, Ming Shiyin, killed 2 Black Knights on his way back. Earned 200 merit points. This Ming Shiyin, he won't stop making me worry. Since you've already conveyed the message, you can just peacefully return. If you provoke Fan Xiuwen and get yourself killed, you'll only have yourself to blame. But Ming Shiyin is still quite far from the Evil Sky Pavilion. Although I could rescue him with a peak form card, it would still take some time for me to reach him even if I unleash all my techniques to rush over. The cultivation world is already full of dangers, and if Ming Shiyin could escape under the pursuit of Black Cavalry, then he would at least be able to protect himself enough in the world of Great Yen in the future. I still don't really want anything to happen to him. Although this disciple is unruly, as long as he is well disciplined, he will become a great weapon. Moreover, I still have to rely on him to earn merit points. On the system's interface, the merit points had accumulated to 1,710. I have 2 deadly strike cards left. They should be enough. Binding Cage's hit rate is too low. It costs 200 merit points each and I purchased 3 of them. I have 6 Binding Cage cards now. This should be enough, right? Next is, I'll go for the lucky draw. It'll be worth it if I manage to get an avatar. I'll only draw twice. I won't go overboard. Zhou couldn't wait and immediately started to take action. The time quickly arrived 2 days later. He woke up from comprehending the heavenly writing. The more I comprehend it, the more my mental state improves. The improvement seems to show itself when something unexpected happens. A good example of this was when I encountered the Buddhist Brahmin lullaby and when my 4th disciple, Ming Shiyin, approached the hidden chamber. Could it be that the process of comprehension allows me to gain extraordinary power? Before he could figure it out, Xiuwen's voice came from outside, telling him that Ming Shiyin had returned. As soon as Zhou arrived in the hall, he saw Ming Shiyin, with a face full of dust, kneeling on the ground. Fortunately, his loyalty did not decrease. In fact, it seemed to be much better than before. "Get up and speak. Where are the Black Knights now?" Upon hearing his master's question, Ming Xiuwen quickly bowed and answered, "The Black Knights departed earlier. They're less than 10 miles away from Jinting Mountain. They should arrive at any minute." "So soon?" Zhou then looked at him for a moment. "Daredevil, impudent." Hearing these words, Ming Xiuwen instinctively knelt down. "I'm dead. Master is in a bad temper." Zhou continued to reprimand. "We're not clear about Fan Xiuwen's strength. You've just entered the nascent divinity tribulation realm, and yet, you're bold enough to provoke him? Are you tired of living?" Ming Xiuwen quickly explained that he didn't dare. "I was worried he wouldn't come, so I harassed some of his men. I didn't plan on killing them, but they didn't want to let me go. I had no choice but to hide in the forest and took care of them there." "Fool! If Fan Xiuwen really meant you harm, he would be able to easily deal with you. There's no need for him to give you a chance." Hearing this, Ming Xiuwen was suddenly somewhat frightened. "Fan Xiuwen is so strong?" Xiuwen quietly stepped forward and reminded him. "His real name is Lung Luo. Didn't you read the letter Master sent you?" Ming Xiuwen remembered the mysterious symbols of the letter and was suddenly speechless. "I have never heard of Fan Xiuwen, but I am familiar with the name, Lu Lung." Back then, Lung Luo's reputation was unrivaled. If the Master did not amaze the world by raising 9 disciples, Lung Luo's reputation would linger even longer. Lung Luo was a scheming expert with a profound cultivation base. How can I not feel frightened after killing the Black Knights under such an expert's nose? But why didn't Fan Xiuwen take action? As he was pondering, 2 female cultivators from Yanyu Palace hurriedly walked in. "Pavilion Master, Fan Xiuwen requests an audience with you. He's outside." Ming Xiuwen cautiously asked, "Master, should I drive him away for now? You can meet him another time?" Zhou waved his hand to signal that it was unnecessary. "Bring him in." After receiving the order, Ming Xiuwen ran towards the outside. Xiuwen also followed to see the excitement. Zhou didn't stop her. After all, Fan Xiuwen is already at the foot of the mountain. Fan Xiuwen is an intelligent man. He would not be so rash as to attack my disciples. Meanwhile, beyond the barrier, Jinting Mountain, Fan Xiuwen looked at the blue glowing barrier and suddenly became interested. "I didn't expect that the Jinting Mountain would have a formation in such a perfect place." Old Four heard this and echoed, "I've heard that even the 10 great nascent divinity tribulation realm experts could not break the Jinting Mountain's barrier after they joined forces. Such a formation is truly amazing." Fan Xiuwen spoke indifferently. "4 of you will accompany me up the mountain, while the rest will stay here and wait." The Black Knight behind him received the order and respectfully responded, "As you wish." A green figure swiftly swept over from the mountains. After landing, Ming Xiuwen's gaze swept over the many Black Knights. "So the one standing in the lead is the infamous Lung Luo? How chilling." Reflecting on this, he extended his palm and made a gesture of invitation. "The Master has invited you up the mountain." Fan Xiuwen gave him a glance and spoke slowly. "The Evil Sky Pavilion's 4th disciple, Ming Xiuwen. You killed 4 of my knights. However, on account of your master, I won't hold it against you." Upon hearing this, Ming Xiuwen quickly explained, "Senior, you're truly magnanimous. However, I had no choice but to defend myself since they persisted in hunting me down." Hearing this, one of the Black Knights scoffed. "Weren't you the one who infiltrated the Black Knights' headquarters first? I was just worried you won't convey the message to your leader. I won't be able to bear the consequences if I fail my task. Would all of you like to know what kind of person my master is?" Seeing Ming Xiuwen keep repeating master, Fan Xiuwen gestured his subordinates not to speak further. "I will never decline an invitation from your master. Lead the way." Hearing the indifferent tone of the other party, Ming Xiuwen gave a faint smile. "I preferred Zhuo better. At the very least, Zhuo had addressed me as Mr. Fourth. I like the sound of that. Unfortunately, Zhuo is dead," Master said. "Go up on your own." Fan Xiuwen didn't say a word. He led his 4 men and stepped into the barrier. As they passed each other, the leader of the Black Knights glanced at Ming Xiuwen. "Interesting. 4th disciple of the Evil Sky Pavilion. If we have the opportunity in the future, let's exchange some moves." Hearing his provocative words, Ming Xiuwen frowned. "Master has said that I'm not allowed to fight without a reason." The 5 of them then walked up the stairs towards the Evil Sky Pavilion. Halfway there, Xiuwen's figure just passed by. "Who's hiding in the shadows?" Fan Xiuwen immediately looked at her position. Xiuwen jumped onto the tree trunk in front of Ming Xiuwen, and then said, "Ugly." Old Four was enraged when he heard this. "My lord, the Evil Sky Pavilion isn't showing us much respect." Ming Xiuwen helplessly explained, "My little junior sister is like that. Please don't take her seriously." Fan Xiuwen waved his hand to indicate it was no problem. He naturally wouldn't be easily angered. Not long after, they all arrived in the Evil Sky Pavilion. At this moment, Zhou was sitting in the center chair. Duanmu, Sheng, Pan Zhong, and Zhou Jifeng stood on the left. Xiao Yu and Yi Tianxin were on the right. Fan Xiuwen's gaze went up to the old man above. According to rumors, Qi Tiandao's days were said to be numbered. 1,000 years of cultivation would return to nature once his time was up. My judgment of a person's aura is different from that of ordinary people. This old man only has about 15 years left in him. As for his cultivation base, I'm unable to sense it. If I were to forcefully try to probe the old man's cultivation base, it would be equivalent to a blatant provocation, which isn't a wise move. Reflecting on this, he then spoke loudly. Fan Xiuwen pays respect to old senior Ji. Lu Zhou calmly nodded. Sit. As his words fell, a female cultivator from Yanyu Palace brought a chair into the hall. After Fan Xiuwen took his seat, he asked with a hand-cupped fist, I heard you wanted to see me, old senior Ji. I did not dare to delay, so I led the Black Knights here without making any stops. I wonder what matters you wanted to discuss with me, old senior Ji. Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou stroked his beard. He casually pointed at Yi Tianxin. I'm sure you recognize this person. Fan Xiuwen looked up at her, indicating that he didn't recognize her. Seeing this, Xia Yuan began to introduce. She's my master's 6th disciple. She's my senior sister, Yi Tianxin. As she was speaking, she suddenly changed her words. Traitor. So, she's the Evil Sky Pavilion's 6th disciple. I apologize for my rudeness. Fan Xiuwen casually responded. The heavy mask hid what he was thinking. Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou couldn't help but frown slightly. Then he continued to ask, do you know about the Fish Dragon Village? Upon hearing this, Fan Xiuwen shook his head. Why do you ask about the Fish Dragon Village, old senior Ji? Lu Zhou then pointed at Yi Tianxin's name. Upon hearing this, Yi Tianxin managed to hold back her grief and spoke. 150 years ago, the Fish Dragon Village had a population of about 354 villagers. It was completely destroyed. After I left Jinting Mountain, I went through many troubles only to discover that all the signs pointed to the master. Fan Xiuwen's brow furrowed slightly. I see. I'm truly sorry to hear the Fish Dragon Village has been destroyed. However, is this the reason you summoned me here, old senior? Lu Zhou responded indifferently. That's right. Fan Xiuwen asked expressionlessly. What does this have to do with me? Lu Zhou noticed a slight change in his body. He didn't know whether it was surprise or nervousness. He casually said, the records of the palace and local archives stated that I was the one who destroyed the Fish Dragon Village. The Black Knights is the special force of Great Yan's imperial family. They only operate in the shadows. It's only natural the palace archives won't mention this force. Have the Black Knights never been to Measure Heaven River? Fan Xiuwen didn't respond to this question. He's a smart one. As soon as I pointed at Yi Tianxin, he knew I would ask about this. It's just unfortunate every cultivator knows that the Black Knights is the special force of the imperial family. Well, let's put the incident at the Fish Dragon Village aside for now. I came here today to discuss a certain matter. Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou told him to speak. Then Fan Xiuwen's raspy voice came through. The palace has a message for you. The palace will not hold the Evil Sky Pavilion accountable for its various deeds in the past, including Ming killing of 4 Black Knights. The palace is willing to let bygones be bygones. On one condition, the Evil Sky Pavilion must not interfere with the business of the Great Yan's imperial family for the next 10 years. As these words came out, the Great Hall became incredibly quiet. A few disciples stared coldly at the scene below. I am speaking on behalf of the Black Knights. I hope you can grant us this wish, old senior. The Black Knights do not wish to be enemies with the Evil Sky Pavilion, nor do we possess the right or strength. Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou tasted his tea without making any indications. Ming sneered and was the first to speak. Ho ho, the last person in this hall who rambled on in such a self-righteous manner is dead. Are you trying to follow in his footsteps? Fan Xiuwen bowed and said he wouldn't dare. At this moment, Lu Zhou put down his teacup. Then he called out his real name. Lin Luo, are you threatening me? Regardless of how humble Fan Xiuwen's tone was or how respectful his manner was, anyone with half a brain would be able to hear the underlying threat hidden in his words. The Evil Sky Pavilions might struck fear into people's hearts. Whether it was due to Lu Zhou or his 9 disciples, even if they discounted Yu Zhenghai and Yu Shanrong, no forces would dare to take the Evil Sky Pavilion lightly. What gave Fan Xiuwen the confidence to speak such words or stop the Evil Sky Pavilion from meddling in the imperial family's affairs if they so wished? What was that supposed to mean? Upon hearing this, Fan Xiuwen quickly stood up and bowed. Old senior, since you're aware of my identity, why must you put me in a difficult position? Lin Luo disappeared 300 years ago, along with the grace and grudges of the past. You're older than me, so I should address you as older brother. Being on the blacklist is not something I'm proud of. In fact, it has become an unremovable stain in my life. He spoke passionately with such self-righteousness that it made people cringe when they heard his words. This person who was once on the top of the blacklist and had committed every evil act imaginable and unimaginable under the heavens said that he was ashamed of his past and had turned to the path of righteousness? Isn't that funny? Fan Xiuwen paused, then continued to explain. As for threatening you, the Black Knights won't dare to do such a thing. We're merely conveying the palace's message. There's nothing I can do even if you choose to reject this request. Just as his words fell, Ming Shiyin shot back. If you know your request will be rejected, aren't you just wasting your breath by saying it in the first place? Duanmu spoke out coldly. You're asking the evil Sky Pavilion to not meddle in the palace's affairs. According to your logic, if we agree to your request, even if a person from the palace were to cut me open, I'd have to bear with it and endure it. 5th junior sister Zhou's cultivation base was sealed by someone from the palace before she was sent to the holy altar for a marriage alliance. Who will take responsibility? Who's going to answer for the destruction of the fish dragon village? These words from Duanmu made everyone look at him with new eyes. No one expected him, who was usually reticent, could speak out like this. Zhou nodded, seemingly agreeing. Lung Luo, did you hear that? This suggested he approved of his disciples' words. This boosted the confidence of the disciples. Such a thing would never have happened in the past. One had to be careful with their words or they might invite trouble. Fan Xiuwen kept his respectful demeanor. I can't defy the palace's orders. Old senior, there's no need for you to lower yourself to the palace's level. Upon hearing this, Zhou immediately stood up. No, you don't understand. This simple action made the 5 below instantly tense. Are the Black Knights responsible for the destruction of Fish Dragon Village? A hint of coldness flashed in Zhou's eyes. Upon hearing these words, Yi Tianxin's heart started to beat rapidly. Is there really another side to the Fish Dragon Village's story? Fan Xiuwen didn't answer directly. He only said faintly, other tribes will never be allowed to exist in the lands of Great Yan. There were too many of them at Measure Heaven River. At these words, Yi Tianxin was shaken to the core. This was practically an indirect admission. Zhou then asked, did you tamper with the records in the palace and local archives? Fan Xiuwen answered, I did. There aren't many who have access to the palace's archives. Old senior, do you have an informant in the palace? Zhou didn't pay any mind to his question and continued to ask, so, you were the one who slandered me? Fan Xiuwen began to explain. The Black Knights were only following orders. We aren't the mastermind behind this. Moreover, from what I know, the 6th disciple of Evil Sky Pavilion is a traitor. Why would you put yourself against the palace for a mere traitor, old senior? As his words fell, Yi Tianxin drew her sword and with all her might, lunged at him. However, before her sword could reach, it shattered into pieces under the impact of Fan Xiuwen's protective aura. Who's the mastermind? Who is it? Yi Tianxin asked unwillingly. Fan Xiuwen didn't answer, but only slightly released a weak aura, pushing Yi Tianxin back. Xiuwen quickly stepped forward to support her. Old Senior G, the Black Knights do not wish to become enemies with the evil Sky Pavilion. I've answered all your questions. As for the mastermind, forgive me for not being able to answer you, since I've already conveyed the palace's message to you. It's up to you to decide what to do, Old Senior. However, as a junior, I have 2 pieces of advice for you, Old Senior. First, it's best not to go against the palace. After all, 10 years will pass in just a blink of an eye. Second, although the Black Knights can't compare with the evil Sky Pavilion, we aren't pushovers either. Farewell. After saying this, he turned and walked towards the exit, the other 4 Black Knights following behind. Since we arrived at the evil Sky Pavilion, we have been constantly disregarded and disrespected. The Black Knights have never been treated in this manner before. We had to sacrifice our pride and dignity here. Even the leader acted humbly after hearing the parting words. It made me feel extremely refreshed. The knots in my heart have vanished. The leader was right. Although the evil Sky Pavilion is certainly strong, the Dark Knights is no pushover either. Just as they were about to exit, Zhou's icy voice reached their ears. Did I say you could leave? Hearing this, Fan Xiuwen stopped, puzzled. When I summoned you here, I had no intention of letting you leave. Seeing their master take a stance, Duanmu and Ming Shiyin immediately leaped into the hall. They both spoke in unison. I was already sick of them. Upon hearing this, Fan Xiuwen furrowed his brows. Do you really want to do all this for the sake of a traitor? Hearing this, Yi Tianxin gritted his teeth in anger, her body trembling. I'll punish the traitor in due time. This is not the place for you to give me orders. If you reveal the mastermind behind the incident, I will leave your corpse intact. Upon hearing this, Fan Xiuwen put away his respectful demeanor and simply walked back to his original position. I understand. 4 Black Knights. since the evil Sky Pavilion desires to witness the strength of the Black Knights, we shall grant them their wish." As his words fell, the buzzing sound of 4 avatars resounded. In an instant, 4 sturdy avatars stood in the sky. 4 Golden Lotus avatars, 2 3-leaf, and 2 2-leaf. The great leader of the Black Knights, who was once on the top of the blacklist, naturally had some tricks up his sleeves. Since he was daring enough to come, it meant he was confident of his and his men's strength. The 4 Dark Knights were all nascent divinity tribulation realm experts. I stand by my words. I don't wish to become enemies with the evil Sky Pavilion. Fan Xiuwen's tone was no longer humble. His words are grating on the ears. This is a prime example of moving forward by taking a step backward. He keeps saying he does not want to oppose the evil Sky Pavilion, but his actions tell a different story. Lu Zhou's mind started racing, contemplating a strategy. Yuan can't do anything against the 4 nascent divinity tribulation realm experts. Ming, Shiyin, and Duanmu could handle a knight each. That leaves me with 2, and the leader of the Black Knights has a profound cultivation base. Naturally, I can use a deadly strike card and get rid of Fan Xiuwen immediately, but the problem is, I have yet to discover the true mastermind of the Fish Dragon Village incident. Even if I killed Fan Xiuwen, my remaining item cards are not enough to deal with the remaining 4 knights. Although I have merit points to spare to get more deadly strike cards, I wanted to save as many merit points as I could. After all, merit points aren't easy to get. Just as he was contemplating, the leader of the Black Knights stepped forward. "Since you killed my men, I've been itching to spar with you." He then charged at them. Ming Shiyin had just recently broken through to the nascent divinity tribulation realm, so his movements are quite flustered. Yuan was somewhat angry seeing this. "Go fight outside. If you break something you have to pay for it." The leader of the Black Knights was incredibly confident. "Stand back. As Black Knights, we don't need to rely on numbers to prove our strength." Ming Shiyin retreated while fighting towards the outside of the evil Sky Pavilion. "Black Knights, get out." The 2 figures then collided and clashed, moving away from the range of the evil Sky Pavilion. Lu Zhou continued to watch without emotion. This is alright. Although Ming Shirin's avatar had no leaves yet, he had been suppressed for an extended period of time before he broke through to the nascent divinity tribulation realm. Similar to Duanmu, Ming Shiyin could be considered as being prepared. Moreover, battles like this would help with their growth. With Ming Shirin's craftiness, he would definitely flee if he could not defeat his opponent. There was no need for me to worry about Ming Shirin's safety. Duanmu stepped into the middle of the hall with his Overlord spear. As he waved it, the chains clanked and he coldly stared at the opponent. "1 isn't enough. 2 of you can come at me at once." The spear trembled and its aura burst forth like a dragon attacking the opponent. Recognizing this as a heavenly grade weapon, the second in command of the Black Knights drew his broadsword and began to battle. The gap between someone who possessed a heavenly grade weapon and someone who did not possess one is incomparable. This is common sense in the cultivation world. A skilled weapon user could also achieve a breakthrough in his avatar with a heavenly grade weapon. However, without the avatar, the advantage gained from the nascent divinity tribulation realm will be lost. Upon the contact of their weapons, an ear-piercing clash echoed throughout the scene. Yuan, looking quite angry, pointed at them. "Go fight outside." Following her command, the 2 of them immediately took their battle outside the hall. The thrust of the Overlord spear is merciless. It resembles a dragon. Looks like he is overwhelming his opponent. Duanmu was growing more and more courageous as the battle progressed, his momentum steadily rising. The Black Knight's old force sensed that something was off, so he leapt into the fray, joining the intense battle. Under the sudden joint assault of the Black Knights, Duanmu's pressure instantly doubled and he was blasted onto the ground. However, even when facing 2 opponents with higher realms than him, he didn't show any sign of retreat. He quickly adjusted his state and charged up again. 2 against 1. Again, that doesn't look like someone who had just recently broken through to the nascent divinity tribulation realm. It's more like someone who had been in this realm for a long time. Third Mister is wielding his spear skillfully as well. Every time he unleashed the scorching field 100 strikes and 1,000 layers of waves, he leaves behind 100 afterimages. This heavenly grade weapon is terrifying, and it is precisely why so many cultivators covet such weapons. Fan Xiuwen applauded sincerely. "If I hadn't witnessed this with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed that a disciple of the evil Sky Pavilion, who possesses no leaves, could hold his own against 2 opponents." At this point, Old Third wanted to join the fight seeing the tense situation, but Fan Xiuwen stopped him with a wave of his hand. He turned his head towards Lu Zhou and said, "The 4 Black Knights are all in the nascent divinity tribulation realm and they rarely display their strength. The one who's fighting with Ming Shiyin is Old First, Cheng Zhangyi. The ones fighting with Duanmu are Old Second, Yu Zhong, and Old Fourth, Duan Yanhong. This remaining knight who hasn't taken action is old third, Li Qing. He's an archer with great precision. In other words, Li Qing was not a close-quarters combatant. He could join the battle at any moment. It's extremely rare to encounter a heaven-grade weapon. Li Qing isn't that fortunate. All he has is the earth-grade master bow. However, with this bow, he can hit everything in his range of vision with 100% accuracy. Just as he finished speaking, a buzzing sound suddenly came from outside the hall. Everyone turned their heads and looked over, shocked. Mr. Third is terrifyingly talented. He sprouted a leaf during battle. Sprouting a leaf means his cultivation level has skyrocketed. At this point, a golden avatar shadow appeared behind Duanmu, his body overflowing with aura. With a shout, his clothes shattered. The Overlord's spear turned and instantly pierced through the chains wrapped around his arm. After breaking the chains, Duanmu's momentum was like a rainbow. Have a taste of my awesomeness. As his words fell, he attacked the two like a beast in a flood again. Fan Xiuwen nodded, indicating to Li Qing to make a move now. Li Qing complied and immediately drew his longbow. However, at this moment, the surrounding muster energy suddenly began to converge towards Lu Zhou. I really despise those who sneak up on others the most. The massive muster energy swirled, continuously compressing into the shape of a hand seal. Target, skilled archer, Li Qing. Great seal of fearlessness. As soon as Lu Zhou said this, he sent out a palm strike. In an instant, the golden hand seal lunged forward, its energy making Fan Xiuwen feel deeply startled. He hurriedly exerted his strength to push Li Qing out of the hall. However, the great seal of fearlessness not only was large, but its speed was also very fast. In a blink of an eye, it reached in front of Li Qing. Seeing this, Li Qing frantically used body techniques to dodge, but the hand seal still followed him like a shadow. Knowing that he couldn't avoid it, he pulled the bow and arrow, added aura, and immediately shot several arrows head-on. However, these were all in vain. The great seal of fearlessness was immovable. The arrows hit the hand seal, only producing tiny ripples, then disappeared into the void. This is just like when Kong Xian was killed with a single strike on the chancel. Li Qing's eyes widened, his confident gaze turning into fear and despair. The powerful energy struck his body. No one saw clearly how he was defeated. They only knew that after the hand seal flew over, Li Qing's body disappeared. There was no trace of him left, not even a piece of residue. Fan Xiuwen hadn't had time to help. His most loyal and capable subordinate was just gone. This feeling of powerlessness filled him with horror. It seems like the master of Evil Sky Pavilion, Ji Tiandao, my former opponent, has gotten stronger. Is this the true strength of the Evil Sky Pavilion? What is the upper limit of his lifespan and the end of his cultivation base? He killed Li Qing, a skilled archer in the nascent divinity tribulation realm, with just a strike, and it seems like Ji Tiandao's strength is still at its peak. Master, your strength is peerless and amazing. Pan Zhong and Zhou Jifeng were not too surprised. After all, they had seen more exaggerated scenes. Whether it was the nine-leaf avatar or Lu Zhou continuously releasing devastating techniques, they felt much more terrifying than the great seal of fearlessness. Yi Tianxin slumped in her chair, a sense of regret flooding her heart. Fan Xiuwen stood straight in the hall, a murderous intent emanating from him. I won't hold you accountable for killing the other Black Knights. However, anyone who touches the 4 Dark Knights is my enemy. Lu Zhou continued to look at him expressionlessly. Leng Luo, till the end, you overestimated yourself. His gaze swept towards the outside battlefield. He found that Duanmu was becoming more and more courageous as the battle progressed, and his synergy with the Overlord spear was getting higher and higher. The 2 Black Knights, who initially had the upper hand, were gradually being evened out by Duanmu. If this continued, it wouldn't be long before Duanmu would emerge victorious. As for Ming Shiyin, he was not worried at all. Among the 4 Dark Knights, the one who had gotten the shorter end of the stick had to be Chenjiangyi. Jingting Mountain was the Evil Sky Pavilion's territory. After all, the barrier was usually up, restricting the disciples from wandering beyond its bounds. As a result, they spent their days exploring the mountain, becoming familiar with every nook and cranny as if they knew it like the back of their hands. Ming Shiyin intended to toy with his opponent by using his familiarity with the terrain to his advantage. Fan Xiuwen now slightly clenched his fist, and the muster energy on his body began to surge. If the Evil Sky Pavilion doesn't take responsibility for Li Qing's death and give us an explanation, my subordinates in the Black Knights and the palace will never let this matter go. As his words fell, the majestic muster energy seemed to materialize and completely envelop him. Lu Zhou silently watched his every move. I want to see what my former opponent, who was once on the top of the blacklist, has hidden up his sleeves. I want to know why Fan Xiuwen was so confident about coming here. Fan Xiuwen completely released his aura without reservation. The surrounding space now produced intense vibrations. A massive golden avatar gradually solidified. The seated 8-leaf lotus bloomed like a lotus flower. The onlooking Zhou Jifeng and Pan Zhong were shocked in their hearts. 8-leaf. If I had not personally seen the Pavilion Master's 9-leaf avatar, I would have been frightened. Even among 8-leaf avatars, there will be a noticeable difference in their strength. The Pavilion Lord had already possessed an 8-leaf avatar 300 years ago when he was at the top of the blacklist. Currently, he has a 9-leaf avatar. Lu Zhou didn't care in the slightest. Lun Luo, is this all you've got? Fan Xiuwen replied confidently. A few centuries ago, we were evenly matched. I don't think I'll be able to defeat you now, but it'll still end in a draw. As he spoke, his body suddenly became illusory. His figure flashed like a phantom, leaving multiple afterimages, making it hard to distinguish his real body. The afterimages were elusive, and in an instant, they dove towards Lu Zhou. Lu Zhou didn't take a step back. He silently crushed the binding cage card in his hand. As he raised his arm, a golden net materialized instantly. Dao invisibility technique? It seems the binding cage card will suffice. The success rate is 30%. Will it hit him? Well, even if it doesn't hit him, it's still enough to distract and repel him, right? The massive net continuously expanded, blocking all of Fan Xiuwen's afterimages. Seeing this scene, everyone was immensely astonished. What's this technique? I've never seen it before. There is no technique in Great Yan that is similar to this. Xiuwen was about to shout out to fight, but was quickly covered by the quick-handed Zhao Yu. With a pause, Fan Xiuwen longed again. You think this is enough to stop an 8-leaf avatar's Dao invisibility technique? Aren't you overestimating yourself? Lu Zhou didn't speak. With a slight shift in his thoughts, the massive net began to shrink, pressing inward. The net formed an airtight cage, then promptly locked onto his opponent's body. Fan Xiuwen, with a flash of his figure, shot out of the evil sky pavilion, trying to escape the range of the giant net. However, the net seemed to have a mind of its own, instantly following him. Regardless of his speed, he could never surpass it by half a step. Ding! Captured an 8-leaf nascent divinity tribulation realm expert, rewarded with 200 merit points. After the giant net enveloped Fan Xiuwen, it began to shrink back into the evil sky pavilion. Fan Xiuwen's body constantly slammed left and right, but it seemed to have little effect. Lu Zhou calmly watched this scene. This thing seems to be more useful than I imagined. Capturing the target earned me fewer points compared to capturing a disciple of the evil sky pavilion. How many merit points would I be rewarded with if I killed an 8-leaf target? Lun Luo, I'll ask you again. Who's the mastermind behind the Fish Dragon Village incident? Fan Xiuwen did not answer this question. You think you can keep me here? He constantly changed his hand gestures, seemingly deploying some powerful secret technique. Well, all 8-leaf nascent divinity tribulation realm cultivators were confident of their own strength. After Fan Xiuwen completed his spell, his fingers intertwined to form a heart shape. The Dao invisibility grand technique? Countless afterimages bounced off the cage's inner wall. It was as if a wild beast was rampaging within the cage at this moment. The average person's eyes would fail to capture the movements of Fan Xiuwen's afterimages. His speed was too fast after all. This clearly demonstrated the extraordinary strength possessed by Fan Xiuwen. Fan Xiuwen is unable to escape from the binding cage. You can only blame yourself for being unlucky. The capture rate is only 30%, and yet, you still got caught. Then he uttered a single word, shrink. With a swish, the cage indeed obeyed his command and shrank. Immediately following that, the armor shattered, and the mask fell off. Fan Xiuwen's face was exposed. Everyone who saw this could hardly bear to look directly. He's even uglier than me. His appearance was already destroyed, looking ferocious beyond belief, making it impossible to appreciate. It would be difficult to keep one's shoes dry if one were to frequently travel along the river. Considering the numerous evil deeds he had committed 300 years ago, it was not surprising that he bore the scars of his actions. It was ironic to see him in this state, from the very beginning until the end. It is you who has overestimated yourself. The cage is not only locking him in place, but it is also affecting his cultivation base. Having tried and failed to circulate the muster energy in his Dantian's sea of qi, he did not even entertain the thought of breaking free using his physical strength. Everything that happened today was out of his expectations. Today's events have gone beyond his control. Old senior, what is it that you want? Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou calmly spoke. Who's the mastermind behind the Fish Dragon Village incident? Fan Xiuwen remained silent. Unbelievable, this all-powerful old villain is willing to offend the Black Knights and the important people in the palace for a traitor. Seeing Fan Xiuwen's silence, Lu Zhou snorted coldly. I have time on my hands. Fan Xiuwen gave him a meaningful look. Time? 15 years. I'll give you 15 years. at most. After that, who will remember you? Just as his words fell, Xiuwen pointed at herself. I will. Upon seeing this, Fan Xiuwen was somewhat speechless. That's not important. Old senior, it's pointless to kill me. All those who join the Black Knights are prepared to lose their lives. Even if you kill all of us, you won't get anything out of us. Zhou understood. He had spent 300 years in the Black Knights, which was more than enough time for him to become resilient and keep his mouth shut. Someone like Fan Xiuwen couldn't be threatened with death. Since the people in this land believed he only had another decade or so to live, he was determined to live a good and long life just to spite them. The battle outside the main hall was still ongoing. Duanmu was locked in a fierce battle with two Black Knights, unable to gain the upper hand. The fight was so intense that almost no slab on the plaza remained intact. Zhou, full of energy, shouted, "Too slow." Hearing this, Duanmu quickened his spear-wielding pace. Luo, not only did you overestimate yourself, but you also greatly underestimated the evil Sky Pavilion as well. Fan Xiuwen's face showed disbelief. Impossible. How could a nascent divinity tribulation realm cultivator who had just sprouted a leaf pressure a 2-leaf and 3-leaf nascent divinity tribulation realm cultivator at the same time? Gently stroking his beard, Zhou reminded, when are you going to use your strongest technique if not now? The strongest technique in cultivation was called a grand technique. A grand technique would drain much of one's muster energy. Therefore, cultivators would not recklessly cast their grand techniques. However, Duanmu seemed like a machine that was filled with unlimited muster energy. He did not slow down at all. With his master's guidance, Duanmu's confidence was greatly boosted. He made a leap and swung his Overlord spear. In his mind, he visualized the scene of his master demonstrating the supreme move. The spear and the sword were just a means to the same end. Imperfect divine intervention. Duanmu's shout. Countless spear shadows instantly rained down. The two Black Knights had no time to retreat. With a bang, the giant thunder formed by spear shadows directly struck down. Soon after the dust settled, the ground was a mess. Without any conspiracy or taking advantage of others, he bravely fought against two. They still lost, and their defeat was so complete. The masks of the two Black Knights shattered, revealing their shocked faces. Duanmu came before Zhou and knelt on one knee. Thank you for the instructions, Master. I'm glad I didn't fail you and managed to defeat these two. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. There's one more. Fan Xiuwen swallowed, not daring to believe it. Yuchong and Duanyanhong, full of shame, cried out in unison, this subordinate is useless. Xiuwen giggled, there's no need to call yourself useless. Since you're defeated by my master, you can brag about it in the future. Duanmu glanced at her, wasn't I the one who defeated them? Xiuwen laughingly explained, third senior brother, you should thank the master for giving you the Overlord spear since it helped your avatar to sprout a leaf. You're right, little junior sister. My imperfect divine intervention is nowhere near my master's strength. If it wasn't for the Overlord spear, I wouldn't have been able to defeat those two. Upon seeing the situation inside the main hall, the two Black Knights were shocked. Why was the leader of the Black Knights, a person with an 8-leaf avatar, powerless to fight back? At the very least, we had fought fiercely with our 2- and 3-leaf avatars even though we were defeated in the end. With the leader's cultivation base, he should have been able to fight with Qi Tiandao for 3 days and 3 nights before the results were clear. Zhou glanced at them indifferently, seal their cultivation bases. Just as Duanmu was about to act, Pan Zhong volunteered, leave this to me. I'm an expert in this. A cultivator's cultivation base primarily circulates muster energy from their Dantian Sea of Qi through their 8 extraordinary meridians. Sealing the 8 meridians through conventional methods is not as simple as it may appear. Many cunning individuals prefer to manipulate their dantians in order to unblock their sealed meridians. Upon hearing this, Zhou nodded. Indeed, the Clarity Sect's meridian sealing technique has its unique strong points. Once he had approval, Pan Zhong couldn't wait to fly down. However, he didn't land steadily and fell over. Seeing him stumbling over, Yuchong was furious. The Clarity Sect is a prestigious sect of the righteous path. How can a sect have a traitor like you? Upon hearing this, Pan Zhong snorted, shut up, loser. Meridian sealing technique. He then put his fingers together and started the process, applying a powerful millennia-old killing technique. A moment of ecstasy filled the two of them. After a moment, Pan Zhong successfully sealed their cultivation. He stated, panting and drenched in sweat, Pavilion Master, I've sealed their 8 meridians. Nobody can unblock them except for me. Zhou waved his hand, ordering them to be locked up and strictly monitored. Then he returned to his chair in the main hall and slowly pronounced the name Yi Tianxin. Upon hearing her name, Yi Tianxin trembled all over and hurriedly knelt on the ground. Overwhelmed with shame and excitement, she responded, "Master." Seeing this, Lu Zhou shook his head and didn't respond. Instead, he turned his gaze to Fan Xiuwen. "Lin Luo, I have given you many chances. Since you don't cherish them, don't blame me for being cruel." Upon hearing this, Fan Xiuwen laughed bitterly. "Old senior, there's no need to waste your breath. Since I've been defeated, I deserve to die." Lu Zhou furrowed his brow upon hearing this. A person with an 8-leaf avatar is willing to keep a secret for someone in the palace. Is this person worth throwing your life away? At this point, it's meaningless to exchange any words. Ding! Ming Shiyin has killed a target in the nascent divinity tribulation realm, rewarded 1,000 merit points. Upon hearing the system's notification, Lu Zhou calmly asked, "The Dark Knight, Zhangyi, do you think he's still alive?" Fan Xiuwen confidently responded, "Zhangyi is highly skilled. Although Ming Shiyin is very powerful, he shouldn't have left the Great Hall. The wider the space, the more advantageous it is for Zhangyi. You killed Li Qing, and Zhangyi will kill Ming Shiyin. I guess we're even now." As soon as he finished speaking, Xiuwen pointed at him and rebuked, "Bullshit. Anyone can brag." "Brag? Little girl, the evil Sky Pavilion is indeed very powerful, but it has turned you into a frog in the well. When I traveled under the heavens unfettered many years ago, even your master couldn't stop me." He suddenly noticed something unusual and asked, "Little girl, why are your eyes so wide open?" Xiuwen was looking outside the main hall. Zhao Yu, Pan Zhong, Zhou Jifeng, and others also looked outside. Fan Xiuwen turned his head in confusion to see Ming Shiyin entering the hall in a sorry state. He was holding a short knife in his right hand and a bloody human head in his left. Fan Xiuwen was shocked and struggled to stand up, but Duanmu blocked him with the Overlord spear. "If you want to die, it's easy. One thrust from the spear is all it takes to kill you." Ming Shiyin then leaped and knelt in the middle of the main hall. "I didn't kill Zhangyi on purpose. He was hiding a top Earth-grade weapon, so I had no choice but to kill him out of self-defense." Hearing this, Fan Xiuwen lost his mind completely. He could not accept this outcome. "I thought Qinyong's victory was certain." After all, Ming Shiyin had no weapon and he had not sprouted any leaves on his avatar yet. On the other hand, Zhangyi had the most profound cultivation base among the Dark Knights. He possessed a peak 3-leaf avatar and an Earth-grade weapon. "This is impossible." The female cultivators of the Yanyu Palace were utterly astounded. The evil Sky Pavilion is very powerful. In comparison, the derived Moon Palace is too insignificant. At this moment, Lu Zhou stroked his beard in satisfaction and praised, "Not bad." Ming Shiyin was overjoyed upon hearing this. "Master, this Earth-grade weapon is extremely precious. I'd like to refine it." No sooner had he spoken than Fan Xiuwen roared, "You dare?" Xiuwen retorted, "Really? You're trying to intimidate us at this stage?" Lu Zhou remained silent at this moment, understanding that Zhangyi, who had died, would be restless in his grave if he knew his weapon was going to be refined. However, as the loser, he had no say in this. If he had been defeated by those from the noble path, he could still mock them. However, this is the evil Sky Pavilion. Even if Ming Shiyin ripped out Zhangyi's tendons and bones, there would be nothing he could say about it. Seeing his master's silence, Ming Shiyin spoke again. "I request master's permission." Fan Xiuwen was enraged beyond measure. He tried to circulate his muster energy again, but he discovered his dantian is still empty. Having traveled far and wide and seen all kinds of cultivation methods and techniques from different sects, this was his first time encountering the binding cage technique. Sitting in the main hall, Lu Zhou casually spoke, "Bring it to me." Ming Shirin's heart fluttered with joy. He respectfully handed the short knife to his master. Heaven-grade weapons are extremely rare. Many cultivators would not even encounter one in their entire lives. Moreover, even if they possessed a heaven-grade weapon, they would not dare to simply disclose it unless their cultivation bases were at least in the nascent divinity tribulation realm. After all, it would be difficult for them to guard against stronger cultivators who coveted the heaven-grade weapons. Therefore, many cultivators were content with possessing a top Earth-grade weapon. It could be tempered and refined into a heaven-grade weapon in the future. However, it is extremely difficult to refine a weapon. It is impossible to refine weapons without spending several decades on the process. Even so, the allure of a heaven-grade weapon was so strong that many cultivators were willing to attempt the refining process. Lu Zhou observed that the design of this knife was not the best. In fact, it was slightly ugly. He lifted his right hand, and the Nameless quietly appeared in his palm, slashing at the short knife. The crowd was stunned, as it looked like Lu Zhou was attempting to break the knife with his bare hands. Fan Xiuwen sneered at the sight. Being a top Earth-grade weapon, it would be preposterous to try to break this knife with your bare hands. As expected of a villain, coveting the possession of a dead man, how do you sleep at night? Ming Shiyin shot him a glance. If we live by your standards, those who fight over weapons in the cultivation world won't be able to sleep at night. Zhou paid no attention to his words. Previously, when he used Unnamed against the male and female twin swords, they remained unscathed. Currently, this peak Earth-grade weapon was also unaffected by Unnamed. He thought to himself, does this mean Unnamed isn't even an Earth-grade? With this thought, he threw the knife to Ming Shiyin. Ming Shiyin instantly caught the knife with a joyful face, but as soon as the knife was in his hand, a crack appeared. Then, it snapped into 2 pieces with a snap and fell to the ground. Everyone present was dumbfounded at this sight. Fan Xiuwen was incredulous. Duanmu, Sheng and Zhou were utterly shocked, their eyes wide open, while Ming Shiyin's expression was mournful as he displayed a bitter gored face. The weapon he had just obtained was gone. Zhou was first taken aback, but he quickly collected himself. It seems like Unnamed was stronger than a peak Earth-grade weapon, seeing as the test was effective. There is a high chance that Unnamed is a Heaven-grade weapon. A Heaven-grade weapon that could transform into different forms is definitely a priceless treasure. Ming Shiyin looked like he was on the verge of tears. I went through great pains to obtain this weapon, but the master just broke it with his bare hands. Master, didn't I work hard enough? At this moment, Zhou spoke calmly. A mere Earth-grade weapon isn't fit to enter my evil sky pavilion. Ming Shiyin was stunned for a moment when he heard this. A mere Earth-grade weapon. Then, does it mean there are better weapons in the evil sky pavilion? Xiuwen giggled. 4th senior brother, look at the weapon in 3rd senior brother's hands. That's the Overlord spear. 3rd senior brother fought against 2 opponents with that weapon. Haha. Ming Shiyin took a closer look. The Overlord spear's length and the dragon carving that was wrapped around the shaft gives it a sophisticated air. I recall when the 10 elites laid siege to Jinting Mountain, I urged Duanmu to leave, but Duanmu would not leave because the Overlord spear was here. I did not expect Master to give such a precious weapon to Duanmu. So unfair, so very unfair. Compared to a Heaven-grade weapon, a peak Earth-grade weapon is truly similar to trash. Thinking of this, he kicked the short knife to the side. Master, your majestic power knows no bounds. This garbage can't even take 1 hit from you. It's clearly a waste weapon. Master, when will I be able to possess a weapon suitable for me? Seeing his frivolous attitude, Zhou was a bit speechless. Carry out your duties well. Upon hearing this, Ming Shiyin immediately felt energized. That is equivalent to a promise that I will give a Heaven-grade weapon. Although Master did not specify when he would give me the weapon, but Master is a man of his word. Thank you, Master. I'll continue to work hard, and I won't let you down. Zhou nodded and glanced at him, noticing that his loyalty had increased by 2 points. This is much better compared to when I had just transmigrated here. Ming Shiyin's loyalty is much more stable than before. As expected, it is difficult to just rely on intimidation and brute strength to obtain someone's loyalty. The female cultivator from Yanyu Palace suddenly exclaimed, Palace Master, are you alright? Xiuwen immediately jumped to Yi Tianxin's side, checked her briefly, and found out she had just fainted. She's fine. You'll scare my master by making a fuss like this. Hearing this, Ming Shiyin felt inferior. Little junior sister mentions master at every opportunity. I certainly can't compare to her. Zhou waved his hand. Lock her in the South Pavilion so she can continue reflecting on her actions. He noticed, Yi Tianxin's hatred has decreased rapidly. It seemed like her hatred that stemmed from the incident in Fish Dragon Village was disappearing. Initially, I only wanted Fan Xiuwen to explain the reason behind the incident. However, Fan Xiuwen's stubborn manner of concealing the incident only piqued my interest more. Moreover, this matter is also highly likely to be related to my missing memories. It seems like I need to investigate this matter as soon as possible. With that thought, he asked Ming Shiyin to take Fan Xiuwen, whose cultivation had been sealed, away. At this moment, a female cultivator arrived at the Evil Sky Pavilion. Pavilion Master, the Black Knights at the foot of the mountain are making a ruckus, refusing to leave. Zhou responded indifferently. Fan Xiuwen will stay in the Evil Sky Pavilion. Tell those who have no business here to leave. The female cultivator asked nervously. But, what if they still refuse to leave? Zhou stroked his beard. Leave it to Ming Shiyin. Meanwhile, outside of Jinting Mountain, dozens of Black Knights were anxiously glancing around outside the barrier, and in the distant forest, there were 2 figures silently observing everything. The man in the green hat curiously asked, Senior, are we going to attack these people? Sword Devil Yushangrong slightly smiled. Tell your sect master that I have no intention of taking lives today. Tell him that I'm sorry. The word sorry, it sounds creepy. The man in the green hat respectfully responded. Senior, you killed the sword freak, Chinwenjia. Previously, who's your next target? After hearing this, Yu Shangrong looked back at him, which scared the man in the green hat, and his legs unconsciously started trembling. Don't worry, I've always been a gentle and polite person. Your sect master knows that as well. The man in the green hat sighed in relief. I'm just feeling pressured from your powerful aura, senior. I hope you're not offended by this, Yu Shangrong calmly said. Thank you for passing on information to me these days. If I ever plan to kill you, I'll let you know beforehand. My friend, Fan Xiuwen, the leader of the Black Knights, has been in there for half a day. I doubt he'll come back. We don't need to wait anymore. It's boring. With that, he disappeared in a flash. Seeing him leave, the man in the green hat finally relaxed. This mission will be the end of me. Evil Sky Pavilion's Ming Shiyin. Under the intimidation of Ming Shiyin, the Black Knights kept retreating, and they had no choice but to leave Jinting Mountain. No wonder Senior Sword Devil left. Even Fan Xiuwen, who has an 8-leaf avatar, is helpless against the Evil Sky Pavilion. The old villain is truly impressive. At this moment, inside the Evil Sky Pavilion, Zhou was deep in thought while looking at the information panel. I have 2,210 merit points left. The reward for capturing Fan Xiuwen is much less compared to killing a nascent Divinity Tribulation Realm elite. I have 5 luck points. I did 2 draws previously, and all I got was a thank you and 2 bad message. Perhaps I should try again. After all, the 3rd time's the charm. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. Lucky draw. Ding! Spent 50 merit points on a lucky draw. Thank you for participating. Luck +1. Zhou shook his head, suppressing the impulse to continue drawing. 5 energy universes costs 8,000 merit points. I don't think I'll have enough points even if I kill Fan Xiuwen and the others. And this is only the 5 energy universe. I'm certain the 6 recombinant trigram lines, 7 star soul, and 8 methods connected aren't any cheaper than the 5 energy universe. Just as he was thinking, Ming Shiyin ran up to the gate. I've locked our captives up. There won't be any problem. With that, he gave a sly smile. His face was incredibly flattering. Zhou glanced at him, instantly at a loss for words. Master, Fan Xiuwen is stubbornly refusing to reveal the mastermind behind the Fish Dragon Village's incident. However, I have a suggestion. As he said this, he made a hammering gesture with his hand. Zhou immediately shook his head. Fan Xiuwen is the leader of the Black Knights. If he's capable of reaching that position, do you think your torture is enough to make him talk? The mastermind must be holding something over Fan Xiuwen's head. Currently, the only person capable of obtaining information from the palace was Jian Aijian, since he had access to the palace's archives. However, that was before Jian Aijian left the palace. Now that he has left, it's likely that he wouldn't be able to access the palace's archives. What if the palace leaked the archive on purpose to use the Evil Sky Pavilion and the Black Knights as pawns? Thinking about this, Zhou called out Ming Shirin's name. Ming Shirin, I'll leave you to interrogate Fan Xiuwen. Ming Shirin responded respectfully. Yes, Master. I'll interrogate this person thoroughly and find out the mastermind behind the incident as soon as I can. As he said this, he suddenly revealed a hopeful look. Master, Fan Xiuwen is such a powerful person. The 2 Dark Knights we imprisoned are also elites. I've just entered the nascent Divinity Tribulation recently, and I don't even have a suitable weapon. Would you? After hearing this, Zhou bluntly replied, "Get lost." Ming Shirin responded and hurriedly ran out of the Evil Sky Pavilion. It seems like my achievements must be fitting to the type of weapon I want. His heart wrenched when he recalled the broken knife. Just then, he heard Duanmu Sheng's voice. Old Fourth, come spar with me. Look at my Overlord spear. Isn't this just asking for a beating? Ming Shirin showed a bitter face as if he was busy. Duanmu Sheng walked over and patted his shoulder. That won't do. You're the only person in the entire Evil Sky Pavilion who can spar with me. Pan Zhong and Zhou Jifeng aren't enough. I can't even get a good exercise out of them. Seeing him so persistent, Ming Shirin had an idea. Master has ordered me to interrogate Fan Xiuwen today. It's related to the Fish Dragon Village incident. Senior brother, why don't you spar with little junior sister? Xiuwen happened to fly by at this moment. She huffed in anger. I'll tell Master 2 of you are bullying me. With that, she quickly left the place. The 2 of them stood there awkwardly after seeing her leave. You can interrogate Fan Xiuwen later. It'll only take a moment. Senior brother, be gentle. Not long after, there came Ming Shirin's screams from the back mountain. Meanwhile, Xiuwen came to Zhou's side. Master, Jian Aijian has sent a letter. The palace intended to weaken the Black Knights. There's no need to fear retaliation from the palace, old senior. Zhou was somewhat confused after hearing this. Why would the emperor, who directly commanded the special troops, want to weaken them? Xiuwen continued. You wanted to investigate the truth behind the Fish Dragon Village incident, but I'm sorry to say that even as a know-it-all, I know nothing about it. However, the Emperor is certainly not the mastermind. It's said that the Fish Dragon Village of Measure Heaven River holds many secrets. Officers can still be seen patrolling the area every now and then. This is a top-secret archive, and it can't be accessed. By the way, I'm throwing in 2 pieces of information for free. Firstly, the sword freak, Chen Wenjie, has been killed by Yu Shangrong. Didn't I tell you he would die soon for being ambiguous with his stance? Secondly, I learned that Renbuping, the master of Fiend Temple, has come out from his isolated cultivation. He went directly to the Green Jade altar to meet with the righteous sect. Also, please don't forget about the sword you promised me. Haha. Officers patrolling the area? Lu Zhou fell into deep thought after hearing this. There are officers patrolling the Measure Heaven River's Fish Dragon Village even now? If Jian Aijian called such a minor detail a top secret, things are clearly more complicated than they seem. Xiuwen hesitated before sitting next to Lu Zhou. Seeing her like this, Lu Zhou asked, "Is there something else?" Hearing this, Xiuwen leaned into his arm and acted coy. "Master, if I tell you, you mustn't blame me. If this had happened in the past, she would not have dared to take such action. It's evident that my subtle influence on little Yuaner has made her more courageous now. I will continue to guide her slowly, hoping that she will stay on the right path and not stray in the future." Seeing that her master was not objecting, Xiuwen got excited. "I want a heaven-grade weapon as well, something like the Overlord spear. I want a big and majestic weapon." Upon hearing this, Lu Zhou raised his hand and lightly knocked on her head. "How many times do I have to tell you that your cultivation base is too weak to handle a heaven-grade weapon? We'll talk about this when you're in nascent divinity tribulation realm." Hearing her master's promise, Xiuwen cheerfully confirmed, "Really? I always keep my word. I'll break through to the nascent divinity tribulation realm soon." Compared to the other disciples, little Yuaner's loyalty is the highest. She is also frequently by my side. Naturally, I wish for her cultivation base to be higher. Until my cultivation base is restored, little Yuaner is my greatest strength. She is inexperienced in worldly affairs and naive. Compared to other disciples, she is much easier to educate. Lu Zhou then checked the mission panel. "My main mission is still to discipline these villains. Thinking of training my disciples, Duanmu Sheng, Ming Shiyin, and Zhou Yu's loyalty points are not too bad. I could still handle the difficulty of disciplining them. The problem lay with those who had left the evil Sky Pavilion. It is extremely difficult for those who have left. Old 8's cultivation base was the lowest, so there is no need to worry too much. He is only relying on his moniker, the Evil King, to intimidate people on the streets. His intimidation worked very well since he was a disciple of the evil Sky Pavilion. Old 1st Yu Zhenghai, Old 2nd Yu Shangrong, and Old 7th Siwuya. These three were the ones giving Lu Zhou a headache. Not only do they possess terrifying heaven-grade weapons, but their cultivation bases are profound as well. Moreover, they are not alone. They have helpers who are as strong as the Black Knights. I really miss Ji Tiandao's peak form card. If I have countless peak form cards, I can fearlessly roam the lands." As he was mulling over this, Zhou Jifeng suddenly poked his head in. "Pavilion Master, Yi Tianqin is awake. She wants to see you." After hearing this, Lu Zhou responded indifferently. "I refuse." Zhou Jifeng replied, "Understood," and quickly left. Lu Zhou then took out the heavenly writing and began to understand it. Time quickly reached evening. "Pavilion Master, Yi Tianqin says that she'll continue to kneel until you come and see her. She's kneeling at the exit of the South Pavilion." Lu Zhou responded with indifference. "Let her kneel then." Zhou Jifeng didn't say anything else and left again. Lu Zhou continued to the secret chamber to comprehend the heavenly writing. The next morning, he woke up from his state of comprehension. "I feel refreshed. The freshness I'm experiencing is much better than having a good night's rest." A cautious voice came from outside the chamber. "Pavilion Master, Yi Tianqin has been kneeling for the entire night." Lu Zhou waved his hand. "Let her be. There's no need to report this to me." Zhou Jifeng replied, "Understood," and hurriedly left, accidentally tripping on his way out. Ding! Punishing the evil disciple, Yi Tianqin, rewarded with 100 merit points. The system notification used the word punish and not discipline. Although the hatred points have vanished, the loyalty points are not satisfactory. If I'm not thorough in meting out punishments, I would not be fit to bear the title of the Patriarch of Evil Sky Pavilion. As Lu Zhou was feeding the chickens, Ming Shiyin, with his bruised face, arrived. "How did the interrogation go?" Upon hearing his master's question, he quickly shook his head and answered, "Fan Xiuwen is truly stubborn. If I didn't recall your words, Master, I would have resorted to torture." Lu Zhou seemed to have expected this outcome. The Black Knights are also experts in torture. It's expected that we can't get anything out of him from interrogation. Should we just kill him then? He's no use to us alive anyway. Lu Zhou shook his head after hearing this. There's use for him yet. An 8-leaf nascent divinity tribulation realm expert would certainly give him many merit points. However, when considering the choice between finding out the mastermind behind that incident and revealing the secret behind the Fish Dragon Village, the latter holds significantly greater value. Thinking about this, his gaze fell on Ming Shiyin. Then he spoke out loud. "Ming Shiyin, I hereby order you to investigate the Fish Dragon Village at Measure Heaven River. Remember, don't act rashly." Ming Shiyin put away his nonchalant demeanor and answered seriously, "Yes, Master."